Hello, everyone, and welcome to the online opening conference for this project. The project is called Building a Network of Civil Society Organizations that will promote social inclusion strategies, benefits, and difficulties. Today, we'll have the opportunity to hear from a series of individuals who are very much involved with the project, including the President of the Socialist Women's Movement, the Chairperson of the Board of the European Anti-Poverty Network in Latvia, Mrs. Andrisava on behalf of the Commissioner of Equality of the Republic of Cyprus, and of course, Mrs. Eleni Garaoli, the Vice Chair of the European Anti-Poverty Network, Mrs. Josie Christodoulou, who is an expert on gender issues and is a consultant on gender matters at the Cyprus Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we'll start off today's opening with Mrs. Roula Mavronivola, who is the President of the Socialist Women's Movement.
Hello, everybody. Ms. Andrisava, who you are here on behalf of the Commissioner of Gender Equality. Dear Ms. Leila Balka, head of the project, Building a Network to Boost Social Security Europe boss. Dear friends and colleagues from Cyprus and abroad, I would like to welcome you all, each and everyone, in the opening conference of the Erasmus Plus project that Socialist Women's Movement is a partner. Dear friends and colleagues, the pandemic highlighted the problems our social security systems have and the inadequacy of many of those. In health crisis, like the one we are living, is when a social state shows its true character and priorities. Social policies to overcome and difficulties and the problems the pandemic left to our societies need to be revised and reviewed with new perspective. The collective interests pursued from our organizations have a common factor, namely that they all contribute to the development and well-being of society as a whole, through many activities, amongst others, securing social and humanitarian objects, resolving challenges or promoting well-being, providing assistance to those in need, advocating changes in law and policy. This is why strong, stable, and active networks in the civil society are needed. Networks that will be able to raise the voices of the people and be present in the dialogue and public discussion for the social policies. Concluding, let us remember that in today's world, we depend on each other. That we ought to find ways of cooperation, dialogue, and networking. I wish every success to the conference as well to the outcome of our projects. Thank you so much.
They are partners and friends in Cyprus. Thank you that we are all together today. We are launching European Network project today, and we are doing so in Cyprus. We want to contribute to European social security, which has become relevant right now. Our task is to promote social activity in order to increase people's well-being. So it would be good if we, as boss, could carry out our tasks together and then see changes in social policy and in legislation, not only at national level, but at European level.
And finally, before we proceed to our workshop and presentation, we will hear from Mrs. Andrisava is a consultant on gender issues and will be speaking on behalf of the Commissioner of Equality of the Republic of Cyprus.
I would like to thank you for inviting me to participate on this online opening conference and warmly congratulate the Socialist Women's Movement for its participation in Erasmus European project. This European program is another important action in the fight against poverty and social exclusion. Building a society free of poverty and social exclusion is much more than a political responsibility to citizens who are really experiencing this phenomena or who may at some point in their lives find themselves in such an unpleasant situation. In the 21st century, Europe must find a common, expanded social model that responds appropriately to all forms of poverty and social exclusion. Organized civil society is always a valuable partner of the state and is more familiar with the needs of citizens and issues of equality in general. The creation of such networks is very important because NGOs have a special role to play, both locally and internationally, contributing to the promotion of social inclusion strategies. Thus, this is expected that this Erasmus program will contribute to create a network and strengthen the cooperation of NGOs in order to promote social security in the EU, increase the knowledge of NGOs on issues related to social rights, social inclusion, and gender equality, as well as the codification and exchange of good practices and expertise for their implementation. Exchange of knowledge and experience regarding the application of the basic principles of the European Pillar of Social Rights.
Peace and prosperity cannot be achieved without partnerships involving governments, international organizations, the business community, and civil society. In today's world, we depend on each other. Dear friends, thank you for joining us today in what we, the partners of this project, hope that will be a very interesting discussion. The primary aim of the project is to establish a cooperation network of civil society organizations for the promotion of social security and to strategically strengthen the capacity of its members. Civil society can be a great asset in any country. It is a great driver for securing accountability, development, and fulfillment. Civil society is a term that encompasses the pursuit of collective interests in the public sphere, but through structures that are quite distinct from those of the government and business sector. The interests that pursued through civil society vary enormously, from culture to social, environmental to scientific, ethical to sporting, local or international, from self-improvement to socially beneficial. The pursuit of these interests is an important contribution to the well-being of our societies. In order to be able to have a strong say, an influence and change in the European or national policies for the implementation of the European Pillar of Social Rights and or for any policy and strategy for social inclusion, we need to be united. We have to find ways to cooperate and work together. The policies that formed in European level affect us all and have direct effect in the national policies. Our governments have to implement Europe 2030 strategy and base their social policies on the European Pillar of Social Rights and implement the action plan based on the agreements in European level. Civil society organizations need to be united and cooperate so that we be stronger and have louder voice and better impact and influence when advocating for these issues. The more we are, the more power we have. When trying to bring change in policy level, what is most important is the realization that the power lies with the many. And I always remember and have in mind Aesop fairy tale and the story with the father and his 3 sons, explaining them that one branch can easily be broken, but many branches together cannot break, or they are not easily break. The moral lesson being that if they stand united, they cannot break. Dear colleagues, first and above all, our participation is as individuals in our organizations and as representatives of our organizations in networks should be fun and fulfilling. We need to have good affiliation and understanding between the members and representatives. We are all in an organization in order to promote and achieve a common goal. Let us not forget this. Any differences can be overcome through dialogue and discussion, and of course, goodwill. Many of us, if not the majority, are volunteers. We want to offer to our organizations and through that to the society and the social sphere. Therefore, our work and the time that we spend while offering should be exciting and make us feel good. And thank you very much for being with me.
Good afternoon to all, and of course thank you Rula and Eleni for the invitation and the opportunity to participate to today's events. I would like to congratulate you for this project, which is of high importance and very timely given the limitations, but also the opportunities to network during and after the pandemic of COVID. The issue I've been asked to discuss is the importance of creating and participating in regional and international networks in order to promote social inclusion strategies. Many things have been said, but I will try and be a bit practical and provide practical examples. And given my professional background, that is working on the promotion of women's rights and equality between women and men, I will focus on the gender-specific aspect of social inclusion strategies through women's networking on all levels, that is regional, European, and global, including nationally. As I mentioned, I will try and provide examples, and especially from my previous experience working as a policy coordinator at the Mediterranean Institute of Gender Studies, an NGO, but also through my current experience working as the gender advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Cyprus. As it's obvious that this area, foreign affairs, that of international relations, networking might be of the most important tool to use to promote your own agenda and your national interests. And securing women's rights is a national interest.
We not only need to change the system, we also need to change how we swallow and digest the concept of power, the concept of hierarchy, the concept of mutual respect. And I think that I might sound it very, revolutionary. It's a hot evening in Athens anyway, but I think that we cannot do otherwise than networking. There is not any other way. And not let us waste time in founding, let's say, a common agreement. We will not agree, and that's the beauty of human race. We need to understand that the enemy is us. We need to change, and we can change through networking. We need to highlight things like the gender perspective of poverty. We need to highlight that legislation needs to take us ahead, a step ahead and not a step backwards. And that it doesn't matter if a state is small but beautiful, as Cyprus is, or big, as the United States of America is. Everybody has a role to play. And I will conclude with a pandemic as an example. We saw how the pandemic highlighted not our fear for our own life and if we're going to die alone in a hospital bed, but it highlighted how inequality is the core of our society and how networking can change that. Sorry if I took much time. I'm really happy being with people that have this kind of of attitude that the world can change. Thank you.
Regarding the consequences of the pandemic and what the crisis have created, which is a new challenge for the CSOs, for the NGOs movement. And of course, the mutual target is to create a collective, powerful movement that will address those issues and promote changes in legislations and of course social policy, so that we can help people in need, and not only women or children, but everyone in need. There is also, from what we had, that CSOs had followed best practices from other countries, and this is what cooperation or coalition mean, and that we can find new ways of cooperation which will improve the social welfare for all people in need. We have heard a lot of times during these speeches the words collectively, the power of a team, that we need to have common goals, that we need to work together. This is, of course, something that we all agreed about, that we need to work together in order to promote social rights and, of course, fundamental human rights. Focus on what we have achieved during these years, and through lobbying, through campaigning, and through all the ways that we have adapted in order to promote social policies. There is also a convergence regarding the power we have as an NGO platforms when we are members of international networks or European networks, because when a network is a member of an international or European organization, it is considered a big advantage, not only because we gain expertise and exchange views, but just because we are being acknowledged at European level and of course at national level.
We are all looking forward in our cooperation within the project to achieving the greater goals that we have, that for a world free of poverty and social exclusion, and with better social systems. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon.